All right, recording is going, so I guess we can go ahead and get started. Let's see. So can I call you Nicole? I don't want to impose. Okay, all right. So you come from a strong theatrical background. Could you tell us a little bit about that and how you got into it?
Yeah, sure. When I was in elementary school, I was very, very shy. My mom says I was painfully shy. Um, and I was in this, I tested to get into the gifted program. And fortunately, I ended up with a teacher who said to my mom, look, you got to get this kid in theater. She's shy. She needs to break out of her shell. Just get her in. So, one of my mom's friends was music directing for Heidi with the youth theater and the local community theater. And I auditioned and I got the part of the dancing maid.
Very nice.
Changed my life. So I ended up that same year going to a brand new fine arts magnet school in our town. And yeah, I've been doing theater and all that goes with it ever since.
That's awesome. So it just highlights how important having the right teacher in a kid's life can be, particularly when you have a gifted student, because a lot of times, I'm not saying this is the case with you, but I've seen in the course of my life where you have a kid who is gifted, and that means that they don't necessarily fit into various stereotypes that teachers tend to put kids into. And so they're kind of left with the questions of, what do I do with this kid? And if the teacher's not prepared to take that extra step with that child, it can leave that gifted child behind, which is completely flipped from what it really should be, I think. So I think you're fortunate that you had that.
I was very, very fortunate. Yeah, and I think that goes with every kid. You know, we're so boxed into how we teach now, and everybody is different, and we're starting to celebrate all of our differences. And, you know, it's good to have teachers that can say, hey, maybe this will work for you, and this might work for you, and, you know, kind of teach and guide.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it seems to, like, our education system or our education style seems to be governed a lot by the zeitgeist. So, for example, right now we've got a lot of focus on STEM, like science and mathematics, which of course is very important. But I think I worry sometimes it comes at the cost of the arts and the humanities, which I believe is vital to actually making us human, thereby the name. Sure. And so I do worry a little bit about that. And so one of my children I know is, not to make this about me, but just to build off of your point, was that I see that in him already, where he's a little different than some of the other kids. And so getting that teacher and is going to be really important, more important for him.
Absolutely.
So you have that theater background, but you've also done some film. Do you prefer theater or movies?
Really, my heart is in movies. I really like the on-screen stuff, but I haven't done as much of it. So I'm, everything, I'm learning all the time. I mean, you're always learning, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're not learning, then, where's the interest? But
right.
Yeah, so personally, I'm drawn more towards film and television. It's interesting because my husband is a composer and he's been writing musicals. So I've been kind of helping produce these musicals, but I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to go do this play or do this movie. And musical theater is not my favorite. I do a lot of it, but and my undergraduate degree is actually a music degree, which I'm not quite sure how I fell into that instead of theater. But yeah. So, and talking about the STEM stuff, it's funny because my husband last summer was asked by a local art school to write a musical about that encourages STEM studies for girls. So,
is that ironic?
At least they used music and theater to do it.
Yeah. Right? That's like almost asking, hey, can you train your replacement for this job that we're going to move you out of later? Like, come on, people. Oh, that's funny. So I saw some of your reel and for the movies and whatnot, and you're really good. I thought you were great. So yeah, I hope you're able to do more of that, or as much of that as you would like in the future. Speaking of which, You could have any role in the world. Like, what's your dream role?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know what my dream role would be.
Guest on the Games and Writers show? I don't know. That could be.
Well, of course. But now, I mean, where do I go from here? My dream is fulfilled now.
Right. Just like Orson
for
Welles.
now.
You start at the top, and now there's nowhere to go. You start from Citizen
Gotta
Kane,
retire.
then where?
Really, truly, I would love to be like a Marvel superhero. I think
that
that
would
would
be
be so
awesome.
much fun.
That would be a
I really
blast.
like drama. I'm
Yeah.
good. I think I cast in a lot of dramatic roles, but I would love to be a badass superhero.
Yeah.
Can I say that? Can I say badass?
Oh yeah, this is absolutely. This is an online show, so we have a lot more freedom here. So.
Oh, well, then you're in for a treat.
Oh, we've
Sound
been
like a
down there.
sailor.
I have a co-host who comes on with me every now and then too, and we always say, all right, it's getting too class in here. Scott, get on in here. He comes in and roughs up the edges a little bit, and he's not here to defend himself, so I can say that. But there's often a lot of like downtime on set and during rehearsals and whatnot. How do you feel that time when you're just sitting around, hurry up and waiting?
Yeah, I try to be productive with my time, but sometimes like when I'm on a film set, I just like soak it in. I love to watch. I love to see what everybody's doing, and I just being there makes me happy. So,
well, that's a good place to be then. Like you've
Yeah.
certainly found it.
it is.
So, of all the things that you've done so far, and I know you have a lot ahead of you, but what accomplishment are you most proud of up to this point?
There was a show, play, The Beauty Queen of Lebanon, by Martin McDonough, that I did here in my hometown of Augusta, Georgia. And it was the first time someone cast me in a really special lead role. That just so meaty, and it's great. And in the play, I have an Irish accent, which I love accents. And it was the first show where I was on stage the whole time, and I carried the show, and it was just a really well written piece, and I'm super proud of that because I was terrified going on stage. I remember waiting in the wings. Whoa, hang on, I lost my cord. I'm so excited, I knocked it right off. Sorry.
You're good.
Am I back?
You're back.
All right. Ah, I did it again. All right.
You're gonna fit right in on this show. I got to tell you, this show is also known as the Technical Difficulties Show.
Back,
so.
and I'm not going. I think I'm sitting on it. Okay, sorry. I'm also a little clumsy. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh no, I've destroyed it all. Hang on. I can't hear anything. Shoot. Oh wait, there you are. And
Am I back? No?
Yes.
Yay.
We're good. So, where were we?
Well, I was making some incredibly witty remarks. I think you missed all of them, but no. Oh well.
Again.
What were we talking about?
I'm such a klutz.
Oh, I
I'm
know.
so sorry.
Yeah, no, the accomplishment you're most proud of. I think that's what. And you're talking about the accent.
Yes. There's an Irish accent, and so for weeks in the house, I'm just talking to everybody with an Irish accent. It was great. There were some people from Ireland that came to see it, and they thought I was Irish, which was made me feel really good. So
absolutely. So speaking of accent, do you do voiceover work as well? Did I see that? Am I correct in thinking that?
I do a little bit of it. I haven't done nearly as much as I would like.
Mm-hmm.
Most of that's just time investment because I do have, the real job.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I'm working on doing more and more of it. I've done a few things, so
That's
which
cool.
I like it a lot. I'd love to do animation. I think that would be really fun.
Oh,
So
oh, I know. That's
yeah.
actually one of my. If I had to choose, I guess one job. I don't know. That it'd be in the top three that I would choose to do voiceover for animation. I think it would be amazing work. That'd be
Oh yeah,
great.
what
So,
fun!
yeah. So we'll just start our own show. How about that? We'll voiceover. There you go.
I'm all in.
Perfect.
Let's do it. I'm good.
Yes. Give me a call. Um. No, I don't know what the hell we were talking about. Oh, I got off track because I didn't have the voiceover question written down, so I got off track. But I did want to ask. Speaking of real job, and just that is probably the answer to the next question, which is, what do you do when you're not acting?
Okay, so um, when I was young and the oldest daughter, they have three girls, to a dad who really wanted to look out for his kids and make sure that they could feed themselves and had dreams of being an actor, my dad said, "Why don't you do something else so you could feed yourself?" So after I got the music degree and realized I wasn't going to do anything with that, I went to graduate school and got my degree in occupational therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm an occupational therapist, and I work currently in a prison in the Georgia correction system.
Really?
Yes.
What is that like?
Well, I work at a prison hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the only major prison hospital in Georgia. And inmates come from all over the state. People are in prison for a long time. They have strokes, they have heart attacks, they have, I've seen do a lot of hand therapy. So I've seen a lot of defensive wounds with lacerated tendons and a lot of, fractures, things like that. So I really see the gamut of different patient types. And yeah, we've got a clinic with, I think I'm the only OT in the state of Georgia. But we've got a couple of physical therapists in the clinic, and they come in. It's basically an inpatient, outpatient style setting. And yeah, there you go.
Did you say they're the only OT in the state of Georgia?
As far as I know, I am.
How does that
Yeah.
work? Like, how busy are you?
I mean, I can work full-time hours, but I have this awesome boss. And she contracts with the prison system, her small company. And my father, when I was growing up, he's a businessman and he had a rehab company. So one of the women that worked for him was my boss's mother. So she's known me since I was like 12. And she heard that I lived in LA for a little while and then I came back. And she heard I came back and she knew I was an OT. And she called me one day and she said, "Nick, I've got this one OT patient. Do you think you can come and just see this one patient and help me out?" And, I've known her forever and the family's great and we're, close. And I said, "Yeah, sure. I'll come on out." So I came out and it just over the last 5 years, it's just turned into a full-time job. But she knows that I love acting and she knows what I want to do. And she's so flexible. I mean, I'm an independent contractor, and so I can basically make my own schedule, but she's very accommodating. If I call her and 5, 6 o'clock in the evening and say, "Terry, I have an audition in Atlanta. I got to go." She's like, "Go, fine, break a leg, have a great time." She's no problem. Yeah.
That is insanely awesome.
Yeah. And I work in a prison,
rare.
so the pay's not so bad either. So, because nobody wants to work in a prison.
Right.
So,
Now, having that sort of flexibility, I mean, that's one thing that holds a lot of people back, is that they don't have that kind of flexibility to pursue their dreams. They've got to, of course, pay the bills, and like we all do, and so that's awesome that you have that. So you clearly love acting and that field. What is there one thing that you love most about it? Like, what's the attraction, I guess, for you?
I think that just stepping into another person's life and experiencing that, and there's the whole telling the story and all of that, but really just being somebody else for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I get bored easily. I just switch up a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it. Just diving into another character, and then they kind of all live with you for a while. You're like, "Oh, Barbara is nice hanging out with you for a while.
Right.
Step aside. It's time for Maureen to come in, but it's great. And one of my favorite roles that I've ever played was stage, and it was musical theater, but I got to play Peter Pan in Peter Pan. So I got to fly and sword fight,
Oh,
and
nice.
it was just magic. And so that's just one of my favorites ever. When the very last scene when Peter takes Wendy's daughter off to Neverland, and the last thing you see is Peter in the window, holding her hand, and we're turned to face upstage, so I can see the shadows cast on the backdrop, and I looked down opening night, and it was Peter Pan's shadow. It was my shadow, but it was Peter Pan's shadow, and it was just like just magic, and that, so Peter lives with me all the time. It's
It's
just
awesome.
one of those cool things.
That
So,
is my own work as a writer. I kind of do the same thing, character creation, and they do have a way of sticking around.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like I was like, all right, I've written you down. You can go on and do your thing. And they're like, no, I'm not. I'm not quite done with you. I'm not quite done with you yet. So I
Oh,
think that's why I end up writing in series.
oh, that's great. I would love to write. I have ideas, and I've always wanted to sit down and write a book, but it's not that time yet for me.
Yeah,
I feel like it's coming and it's going to happen, but I'm not there yet.
yeah.
So it's just kind of ruminating somewhere in the back of my brain. But yeah, I had the cursing. My sailor mouth was after I I did God of Carnage, and I played Barbara Fordham. Not God of Carnage. It was August Osage County, and I played Barbara Fordham, and she curses. I mean, I mean, the F word left and right, and it that has stuck with me. And it's just curse word of choice. I got the f and the k, it's great. Love it.
So, are there some are there some things that you dislike about acting? There are some parts of the craft you're like, yeah, I could kind of do without that.
Hey, you know what? It's the lack of control. My husband, who's a composer, as I mentioned, he can sit down and write music any day of the week, anytime he wants, sit down with his keyboard and write. And I kind of have to wait for somebody to give me the opportunity to be on stage or be in a film. I could make my own content, but, for the most part, you know, it's the audition.
Right,
It's being given the chance to do the stuff.
right.
So that's the worst, but
Yeah,
it's okay.
yeah. It
You
comes
know,
with the territory, I suppose.
it
Like
does.
anything else. So,
Auditions are fun. I like auditioning, you know.
yeah. In that field of acting, who are some of the people that you look up to, that you aspire to be?
All right, so I'm at this point in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm not as young as I would like to be. So I'm like, okay, where am I going from here? Like when I finally really get in there and make something of myself and people know who I am. So I look at well, of course, Meryl Streep's amazing.
Yeah.
That's just a given. I would love to have the opportunity she has. She's so versatile.
Mm,
But like, I love Helen Mirren. I just think
yeah.
she's just so cool. I'm not there yet. That's, my future.
Yeah.
Um, but who else? I don't know. I don't have favorites. I'm not a favorites kind of person. I
Yeah.
kind of like to take a little bit from everything and enjoy it all, for what it is. So I'm sure as soon as we get off the interview, I'll be like 6 people that I would love
Right.
to.
Come flooding
That's
back to
me.
you. Yeah, I know how it goes. What's been the most challenging part of your acting career so far?
The most challenging is right now, I live 2 hours from Atlanta, and I'm a mother of 3 teenage girls. Well, one is officially not a teenager as of last month. Um, so trying to balance the family life and pursuing my dreams. Because, if I want to take an acting class, which, all actors should be taking an acting class if they're not working for sure.
Mhm.
There was a long time where I would finish work on Wednesday, hop in the car, drive 2 hours to Atlanta, take my class for 3 hours, leave at 10:30 and get home at 1, and that's just
Wow.
what I had to do
Yeah.
and still be a mom and all of the things that go along with that. So really, it's the logistics for me right now that's challenging. But I've got a really supportive family, and there were times where I just didn't feel like getting in the car. I was tired, and I just wanted to go to bed. And my 14-year-old would be standing there with my car keys. Get in the car, Mom, go.
Oh, wow.
We
That's
got this.
great.
Just go. So yeah, I'm
That's
a lucky
amazing.
woman.
That's awesome. What are some projects? Is there anything specific that you're working on right now that you could tell us about?
Yeah, right now I am playing Alison Bechtel in Fun Home, the musical,
Oh,
which
okay.
is great. I didn't really know the show all that well before,
Hmm.
but I love the music and I love the story. And it's about Alison Bechtel, who's a cartoonist, and I don't know if you know the show.
No, I don't.
She and it's her story as her relationship with her father, and she says at the beginning of the show, he was gay and I was gay and he killed himself and I became a lesbian cartoonist. It's kind of her story about coming out and the relationship with her father and what that meant and how some things changed, and um, great music. It's a great story,
Wow, that's
and
a
I really
hell of
love
a
it.
hook.
Yeah, it's great.
Pretty awesome. That's
So that's
awesome.
coming up in May. So we're working
Awesome.
on that now.
How far ahead in advance do you plan? Like, do you have something beyond that you're wanting to get to, or do you just focus on what you're doing right now?
Well, I mean, it kind of depends on what's going on around me at the time. After this, I definitely, and while it's going on, just trying to really focus on more voiceover
Hmm.
because that's something that I can do from home. Have my little closet studio and I can
Hmm.
work from there, and um, makes it easier with the travel thing. But,
Yeah.
I always have friends that are doing projects and, they ask me to do stuff. I do some producing for my husband's stuff. So that's a fun thing. There's always a little something going on.
Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic. Well, that's all I have for you right now, but I'm hoping that, down the road, maybe you can come back and when you start, you have some other things you want to talk about. I thought this was great. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it's just really fun. Thanks so much for asking me.
Absolutely. If I can ever do anything to help out with you or your projects, I don't know how that would be, but if there is anything, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know.
It's our animation project. Come on,
Yes.
Craig.
Well, yes. Well, besides that, that's a given. And that's, yes, that's headed for legendary status, no doubt. But beyond that, if you have anything else,
I will definitely give you a call. And likewise, if there's anything, I can do on your, on this end to help you with your stuff.
absolutely.
I'm
Thanks so
all
much,
about
Nicole.
teamwork.
Yeah.
So
All right. I appreciate it.
thanks, Craig.